Hello, and on today's adventure, I've got my transit van, Transit Connect van, which has decided to throw up an engine fault. So the engine management lights come on. I was getting ready to sell it because I don't really use it, and I'm going to plug in, see what the problem is, and hopefully we're going to fix it. So from what I can gather, looking at the code and doing a little bit of research, the fault, which is exhaust gas recirculation, is coming back as the EGR valve. Obviously, using the power of YouTube and some Googling, I've found that is the EGR valve there. Now, there is a chance that could be seized. This would make sense, bearing in mind that in the space of 12 months between MOTs, I've done 80 miles. So there is a high probability that is seized. So following what I've seen, I need to remove this and inspect the internal components on one side, and on the other side there is moving parts which can become seasonal, so a bearing inside that twists and allows the EGR valve to open and close. So we're going to strip that down and see what it looks like. The suggested tools that I'm going to need to complete this EGR valve removal is an 8mm spanner, a 10mm spanner, a small flathead screwdriver. We have a T27 Torx bit holder. We've then also got an orbital connection, an extension bar, and a ratchet. Obviously, before all that, I want to put some gloves on because I don't want to come out of this filthy. So let's see how it comes off. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take off the electrical connection, get my flathead screwdriver, flick that in so that it's behind the clip, and then pull the connection out. Obviously looking at the connectors there to make sure that there's no signs of corrosion. It does look like quite a new EGR valve, so it may have had this replaced in the past. The next thing is an 8mm spanner. We're going to remove the connector. So this connects the back of the housing to the engine, I'm assuming to stop vibration and wobble. We'll undo that, make sure that we don't lose any of these parts that we're removing. Next we have the T-bolts, or Torx bit bolts. So we know that I've got a T27. Got my ratchet, my extension and my Torx bit on it. Goes in there nicely. Make sure it's on anti-clockwise and undo. Now, from what I'm seeing, there's some difficult bits to remove, which are down here and down at the back, and that's why we've got our orbital bit, hopefully to get the right angle for the dangle. Okay, so rear one, we're going to get the orbital bit on. Firstly, we shall get the head in Torx bit. Now that it's in, socket goes on, and away we go. Generally, once it's loose, we can do the rest by our fingers. So the harder one now is this front section. So we've got this mounting bracket here. It looks like that's got a Torx bit on it too. So it's not T27. Maybe T25. Well, yes, so that one's T25. So I'll get that bracket off. Again, once the ratchet's done its bit, you can do the rest by hand. Okay. So the bracket slides off. Now hopefully I can get my T27 Torx bit in there with the orbital bit. Very fiddly. That's the worst thing in fiddly areas like this, is that we can drop bolts and nuts and spend the rest of the day trying to find them. This is why it's always good to have a magnet knocking around. Obviously, if you don't have an orbital bit, get that angle, you can obviously put your Torx bit directly in and get a spanner, usually a 10mm spanner, and use the spanner to undo it. But obviously more fiddly and more chance that you're going to drop components. So the EGR valve should now be free. Let me get a torch and see what we're looking at. What are we looking at? So there's a what looks like a piece that basically allows the connection to stay steady. So does this turn? Ooh. It does turn, but it was a bit stiff. And is the component in place? Yes, so the bearing is in place, but equally the bearing is corroded. And there is a chance with that corrosion that it could be seized within that side. So I'm still going to oil this up to make sure that that is free moving. As I said before, this part does look quite clean and new, so chances are at some stage this has been replaced. Now whether they then replaced the components in there or not, I do not know. But just looking at the state of rust in there, I think by filling it with a bit of WD-40 initially to unseize everything, and I've got some other grease to go in there that'll keep it going long term. At which point we can put it all back together, get rid of the engine code, take it out for a spin and see if that's fixed the problem. Extremely long nose pliers, and we want to get them in there and make sure that not only does it twist, but it actually comes out. So you can see if I push that back, it flows back in. So obviously I've used the WD-40 on there, that's doing its job, but it does seem a bit stiff, so we're just going to keep moving that in and out. Let the WD-40 do its job and unseize everything. I'll possibly put some spray grease in there as well later on. I do want to clear up all this surface rust and any liquids down at the bottom. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, I've put it all back together, is we are going to turn the ignition on. Energy management light still showing, which it probably will regardless because it's a fault that's now been logged. I'll then open up my OBD. And then we run through the options. So go down to Ford Diesel, as this is a Ford Diesel. And we want to do a new scan, read DTCs, exhaust gas recirculation high, so that's the only fault that's currently showing. We escape, go down to erase DTCs, enter to escape, erase DTCs in progress. Erase successful. Okay, so turn that off. Unplug it. And then gonna start the engine. Engine management light has now gone off. A bit of a rev. Now, that's not to say it won't come back on if we haven't diagnosed the fault correctly, so I'm going to have to take it out for a bit of a drive and see if it pops on or not, because before I only nipped to the shops, it was like a 2-minute drive down the road and the engine management light came on. So let's go see. Okay, so I've been out for a drive, I've come back, I've stopped and started the engine, and we have no more engine management light, so I will start it again. The lights go off, the only one on is my handbrake light is on. No engine management light, which is great. So that was a quick and easy fix with no money spent. If you were to find that the pin was seized to the point where in some cases it can snap, you can buy a new pin to go in there for the bearing for the wheel to turn, but that's you know, £27 off eBay. If you need to buy a complete new EGR valve, you know, you could be talking hundreds of pounds. So as a quick and easy check to do, as soon as the engine management light comes on, you should always get the code red to find out what it is, because if I'd have left that over time continually trying to turn, it would have snapped the pin, at which point I would have had to get a new pin, or it could have done even further damage to the EGR valve itself. So that was a quick and easy solution to my problem. So hopefully if you have a similar problem, you'll find this video and it'll help you out. Thanks for watching.